Welcome, everybody. It is Wednesday, June 3rd. My name is Brad Bernstein. This is Brad Show Live, and it is Hump Day today. We took off yesterday in honor of Blackout Tuesday. We were live on Monday, off on Blackout Tuesday, because that's what we needed to do. And we are back here on Wednesday. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. Crazy world we're living in right now, and we're going to get to everything going on in the world in a few minutes. But let me first say hello to the whole squad. Jessica Leamy, how are you? Katie and Plunkett, squad up. Deanna Moore, Dionne Watson, Oprah Roan, how are you? How you doing? She's asking, Rochelle Brown is asking Oprah Roan to come watch with me. So hopefully Rochelle and Oprah are watching together. Carol Anderson, how are you? Denise Johnson Green saying, hey, Brad. Jilly Bean in the comments. Joan Grant. Lisa Brumel, how are you? Marlene Watt Russell just saying hi. Denise Johnson Green, I said already. And who else we have here? Sasha Ford. Yvette Halstead saying, big up, Brad. Sasha Ford with a squad up to everybody. Marcia McCalla, what's going on? Share blessed and highly favored parents saying squad up. Yvette Halstead and Forrest Mushy saying squad up. Let's see what's going on YouTube. On YouTube, 29 Super C. Jessica Leamy double fisting 29 Super C saying squad up. Tally. Jilly Bean double fisting. Denise Johnson Lee saying squad up. Lola Bless. Dalen Jack, how are you? And the entire squad, if I didn't get to say hello to everybody. I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, especially on YouTube, please subscribe. Every day I speak to people and they say, I watch your videos. I love your videos. I love your show. I love Brad Show Live. They tell me every day, Brad, Uncle Brad. I said, oh, you subscribe? And I always ask that because they say, well, you're going to be on today. And I say, you subscribe? And they go, no. And I go, well, if you subscribe, you wouldn't have to ask me if I'm going to be on today because you will get a ding every time. So please subscribe and follow me. And every day we come on, you will be notified. And I tell my clients every day, at least the people who call me, and there's lots and lots of people who subscribe who I never speak to ever. And I say, you don't have to be embarrassed. You don't have to be ashamed. Nobody is questioning what your position is here in America just because you follow Brad Show Live. We are so much more than just immigration questions and answers. We are about social justice, about what's going on in the world. We're a family. We come together every day and we say hello to people and meet new people, not only from our neighborhoods, but from all over the United States and all over the world. People we would never, ever meet or never come in contact with. It's an amazing, amazing group, Brad Squad. And in order to become a part of Brad Squad, you got to be able to subscribe on YouTube. Or if you are on Facebook, you have to like and follow us on Facebook. And then you can become part of the Brad Squad. And how do you become part of the Brad Squad? First, obviously, subscribe on YouTube, like and follow on Facebook, and then go to our membership page on Facebook, Brad Squad membership. Jilly Bean, also known as Jill, also known as Jilly Bean. She's the membership committee. She is the full membership committee. I've given her full authority to be membership committee on Brad Squad. And as long as you subscribe and you made a comment and we know who you are, you will become a member of the Brad Squad. And what do you get? You get to be part of the greatest group ever put together in the history of the world. Trust me, everybody in Brad Squad will tell you that. Number two, if you are wondering who's going to win the free consultation today, we're going to be announcing it in about 45 seconds. Every week on Instagram, we run a contest for a free immigration consultation. It's a value of $200. You get to speak to me for free, off air, and I'll give you my best advice. I call you on the telephone from wherever you are in the entire world. And in order to get that free consultation, all you have to do is follow us at Brad Show Live, find the Bouncing Brad, and tag 5 of your friends. Right now, I have in my old scratchy hat the names of approximately 14 or 15 people who who tagged 5 of their friends, followed Brad Show Live, and liked Shimmying Brad for the last week. And we're going to pull out of our hat the name of the person who is the winner of the free consultation. And the winner is, let's see what it's going to be. Winner is, I am Sasha 2. I am Sasha 2 is the winner of the free consultation. And if you want to get in on a next free consultation, all you got to do is follow us at Brad Show Live, find Bouncing Brad, tag 5 of your friends, and you will be included on the free consultation for next Wednesday's show. Please leave your immigration questions in our comments section. I will be answering them in a little bit. Also, don't forget it's hump day today, so we're going to be getting a little randy in a few minutes. I don't know what our Brad crew has up our sleeve today in terms of hump day, but we'll figure that out in a few minutes. What else do I have to announce? If you want to speak to me and you didn't win the consultation, you could always have a consultation with me. And the telephone number to call me is 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-LAWLINK, 1-800-529-5465. Sorry, Marge, that was not you. It is I am, Marge Hicks thought she won. I am Sasha 2. And Sasha Ford, that's Sasha Ford. I didn't even know who it was. Sasha Ford, congratulations. I don't know who because I only, that's Sasha Ford's name on Instagram is I am Sasha 2. I didn't know that. It's Sasha Ford. Congratulations. And she got her free consultation. I love Sasha Ford. I've never actually met, I've never met a lot of people, but I love her comments. We're like friends on social media. So I'm glad she was able to do it. I look forward to actually speaking with you for the first time. And what else do I have to say? Yes, my telephone number, 1-800-529-5465, 1-800-LAWLINK, 1-800-529-5465. I had a very long day today. My brain's not functioning completely right now, but we'll get into it in a little bit. And also, don't forget to share. Honestly, if you guys don't share, we don't get the word out. That's how social media works. I got to ask you to be my advertising agency. So please share this with your friends and family. It's very easy to share on Facebook. You hit the share button. It's right under the comments where it says how many comments are made. And you can share publicly. You can share to your story. You can share to a group. You can even start a watch party and be the host of your own watch party for Brad Show Live. And on YouTube, there's a thumb up and a thumb down. And everyone should be turning that gray thumb blue. We have 21 thumbs right now that are blue. I'd like to see that bigger. And then right next to the thumbs is a share button. And you can share our feed to Twitter or your Facebook or Reddit or Tumblr. I mean, there's 100 different options to share on YouTube. You can also copy the link, and you can copy the link on that share button and then copy the link and put it in your WhatsApp and send it to your friends to watch as well. That's about all my announcements right now. I think we got to get to something we like to call here at Brad Show Live, Schmoozing with Brad. All right. So happy hump day. As I said, it is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020. And about a few hours before we came on the air today, it was announced that all 4 police officers in Minnesota in the killing of George Floyd are now going to face criminal charges. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is also increasing the charges against Derek Chauvin. He's the main culprit. He's the one who put his knee right into George's neck and killed him. They're upping the charges from 3rd degree to 2nd degree murder. They're also charging the other 3 officers. The other 3 officers are Tao Tao, J. Alexander Kung, Thomas Lane. They were all charged with aiding and abetting murder. Now, Derek Chauvin was charged with 2nd degree murder, which can be a sentence of up to 40 years in prison. Now, what we have to show for 2nd degree murder is that he intended to kill George Floyd while committing another felony. I guess the other felony would be assault on George Floyd. And I think that would be a pretty easy conviction to get. We'll see if they up it to the first degree. We'll see. They may. But right now, he's looking at up to 40 years in prison. Now, once news of the new additional charges broke, the Floyd family attorney, Benjamin Crump, called the moment bittersweet and said the Floyd family was deeply gratified for Attorney General Ellison's action. He said, "We are deeply grateful for the outpouring of support by Americans in cities across the country, and we urge them to raise their voices for change in peaceful ways. Our message to them is find constructive and positive ways to keep the focus and pressure on. Don't let up your demand for change." Meanwhile, in Minnesota, the Minneapolis School Board unanimously voted yesterday to terminate its contract with the city's police department over the killing of George Floyd. Minneapolis public schools are going to stop any further talks with the police department, with the superintendent responsible for coming up with a new plan to keep schools safe by its meeting next month. The department had previously supplied the public schools with the school resource officers, to kind of keep the peace as, the school cop to walk around. No more. The school board's vote follows actions from the University of Minnesota, which last week announced it would also significantly limit its ties with the city's police force. Minneapolis Public Schools Superintendent Ed Graff said the security changes will be in place for the start of next year in September. And quite frankly, you can't blame them. One, you can't blame them because it's a reaction to what happened with George Floyd, to say to the Minnesota police, we don't like what you're doing. But more importantly, it's apparent that it's endemic in the Minneapolis Police Department about the issues they have with the minority community, and you don't want to send your child to school and worry your child's not going to be safe anymore. So I can't blame schools for severing their ties with the Minnesota Police Department. Meanwhile, last night, the 8th night of protests, there was a little less violence, still violence. I can tell you, I live in Midtown Manhattan. 2 nights ago, I heard sirens all night long. Last night, I heard a few sirens. So there was still some violence, but I think a lot less. According to the news, there was a lot fewer police clashes. There was a lot more acts of civil disobedience than 2 nights before. Now, some mayors said the unprecedented curfews helped prevent violence. Here in New York City, we are not allowed out after 8 o'clock. After that, you are either looting or committing civil disobedience. Hopefully, it's the latter. Civil disobedience to me is okay, looting not. Now, which officials say the curfews prevented further instigations and extremists who were not really protesting Floyd's death. In Louisville, there were prayers after the Sunday shooting of David McAtee, the owner of a barbecue business in which police and National Guard were involved. The police had not activated their body cameras during the incident in Louisville. Metro Police Chief Steve Conrad, he has now been fired. In Philadelphia, protests culminated last night with 9 minutes of silence. It's in contrast to the scene in the city Monday night when police fired tear gas into the crowd, causing a stampede. It's in vast comparison to the violence seen in the last 2 days. So I'm glad that the protesters are showing peaceful activism instead of violent activism. It goes a lot longer to getting your message out. In Los Angeles, a group of protesters knelt with their hands up in peace signs outside the home of Mayor Eric Garcetti as they waited to be arrested. Bravo to them. In Atlanta, where days ago a police car was set on fire, a large crowd marched peacefully through the same area. Bravo to them. And after what New York City Mayor de Blasio called coordinated criminal activity and looting in parts of the city the night before, protests over last night looked completely different. People marched through Manhattan with some store owners, residents, and supporters lining the streets and cheering them on. There were some instances of looting, of course. It didn't stop completely, but was nowhere as widespread or chaotic as it was on Monday night. A group of protesters marched across the Manhattan Bridge. They were denied entry into Manhattan by the New York Police Department. The crowd of a few hundred people were allowed onto the bridge, but blocked once they got to the other side. They were kind of stuck in the middle. They were chanted, let us through. They stayed peaceful. And eventually things were allowed to calm down without any violence. Now, on Monday, President Trump declared himself the president of law and order and threatened to send the U.S. military to quell national protest against police brutality. Trump threatened to unleash the military on unruly protesters, citing his authority under the Insurrection Act of 1807, which is a law that was back from the revolutionary times, where the military was allowed to come in to quell any sort of uprising. Hasn't really been used much in the United States ever. I don't recall. It was used in the 1992 Rodney King demonstrations in Los Angeles. That was the last time it's ever been used. Now, as Trump spoke, police all, and I believe, I didn't read anything about this, but I believe it may have been used at 9/11 in the Ground Zero area, because I remember living in New York at that time, and there was a lot of U.S. military there as well. So it could have been used at that time as well. I'm not 100% certain on that, though. Now, as Trump spoke, police also fired rubber bullets and tear gas at protesters gathered peacefully on the edge of Lafayette Square, directly in front of the White House. And we even have a video of Donald Trump talking while bullets are flying in the background. We have that? Or maybe not. Well, Attorney General Bill Barr had approved the attack on these peaceful protesters before the city's curfew went into effect. After a speech and with the square cleared, the president walked across the street surrounded by his security for a photo op at the historic St. John's Episcopal Church, where he held up his Bible backwards, took a picture, and walked away. Now, Trump denounced the violence as domestic acts of terror, accusing far-left anti-fascist groups of being responsible for the chaos, as he threatened to use military force to bring them to a halt. And you have to put all of this in context, all of this that he just did in context with an election that is coming up in November. Because for Trump, it doesn't matter how many people get killed. For Trump, it doesn't matter how many people get hurt. For Trump, it doesn't matter what's best for our country, what's best for the people who live in our country. For Trump, it's all about what's best for Trump. And Trump looks at an election in November and he says, what's best for Trump is Trump gets reelected again. And the only way Trump gets reelected again, because he has to think to himself, okay, Donald, what am I going to run on? What's my platform? He can't run on Make America Great Again, because 3.5 years later, America's not great again. America's worse. He made America worse, not great again. It's worse, the worst we've seen in decades, America right now. So it's not Make America Great Again. He can't run on that stupid red hat. He can't run on, look at this great economy when 1 out of 3 people are out of work. Can't run on that platform. So it's not the economy he can run on. He can't run on, look, I made the world safer. He didn't make the world safer. He made the world more dangerous. He can't run on, look at what a great manager I am of government. He allowed 107,000 people so far to die of coronavirus in the United States. So he can't run on that one. So what is he going to run on? He's going to run on race war. That's what he's going to run on. That's my opinion. Race war. Okay. Put whites against blacks. All right. Start shooting. It's all the far left. It's all the far left. They're all causing all of this. Instead of sitting down and saying, you know what? A vast majority of the people in the United States of America, a vast majority, don't like the direction we're going in. A vast majority. A vast majority don't like police doing what they're doing to our minority communities. We don't want to live in that type of society, and people are standing up. And if you look at the marches, it's not a march of just of minorities and black people. It is a multicultural, multi-rainbow march of everybody. So I don't know if this is going to work for him, but this is the only reason he's, as far as I'm concerned, he's doing it. He's looking at an election and saying, you know what, I gotta stand on something. And I don't think that's the way to go, Trump. I don't think it's going to happen. Meanwhile, Bishop Marion Edgar Budd of the Episcopal Diocese of Washington, D.C., he slammed President Trump's photo op at the St. John's Church as a charade. We have some video of that.
This was a charade, does nothing to calm the soul and to reassure the nation that we can recover from this moment.
Now, Bud said Trump came to St. John's without any advance notice, doesn't frequent the church, and as far as all media reports, is Trump's not even a religious man. So St. John's sustained damage from a fire in one part of the building, but Bud said the church is structurally fine. She said, "We will rebuild. Buildings can be rebuilt. Lives cannot be brought back from the dead," which is a very, very, very excellent point. Meanwhile, talking about the election, President Donald Trump has now the highest disapproval rating of any president at this point in office in the history of the United States, standing at 54% disapproval rating, the highest it's been since October 2019. Think about it. In the history of the United States of America, no president at this point in his presidency, 3.5 years into a presidency, has had a higher disapproval rating than Donald Trump. Now, this opinion poll analysis came from 538 website, and they published the numbers on Tuesday. No president has had a higher disapproval rating than Donald Trump now has. I have to say that one more time. Site creator Nate Silver tweeted, "Now, the only president who ever came even close to this was Jimmy Carter, and that was at 52%, and that was on day 1230 of his presidency, and most likely right in the middle of the Iran hostage situation." Now, today, Defense Secretary Mark Esper, he is the head of the military. President Trump is actually the head of the military, but he is the defense secretary in the executive office under President Trump. He called the killing of George Floyd by a Minneapolis policeman a horrible crime, and he called for all of the officers involved to be held accountable for his murder. It was the first time that the Secretary of Defense addressed Floyd's death and the nationwide protests over racial inequality in America. Now, we have a video of Esper.
Racism is real in America, and we must all do our very best to recognize it, to confront it, and to eradicate it.
Now, he said he does not support the deployment of active duty military troops on city streets, as President Trump has threatened to order, saying the National Guard is best suited for providing support to local law enforcement. He called the use of active duty forces a matter of last resort, and he said he does not support invoking the Insurrection Act of 1807. Said Esper, "We are not in one of those situations now. I do not support invoking the Insurrection Act." If the military is called out into a city, a military is not a police force. A military is not a force of reconciliation. It is not a force of peace. It is a force of war. And if you're bringing in people in the military, soldiers, they only know one thing: to conduct a war. And then, so if Donald Trump brings the military and he invokes the Insurrection Act, what he is saying is he is conducting a war against his own people, his own citizens, which to me would be an act of absolute illegality to go bring in military and then start to think that the military is going to bring peace to our city. No, the military is going to have a war with other American civilians. It will become a civil war. A civil war. That would be the worst thing that we could ever see happen. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, workers removed a statue. It was a controversial statue of former Mayor Frank Rizzo from its place of honor across from City Hall earlier this month. In the 1970s, Rizzo famously told Philadelphia voters to, quote, "vote white." Confederate monuments in 3 southern states, Florida, Alabama, and Virginia, have also come down. A statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee was toppled from its pedestal in front of his namesake high school in Montgomery, Alabama. In Florida, a bust of Lee in downtown Fort Myers was removed. And in Alexandria, Virginia, the United Daughters of the Confederacy was taken down. Now, Robert E. Lee was the general of the army that fought for the South to secede. He was the general in favor of continuing slavery. To have statues of him a man who represented the South and slavery and enslavement of blacks as a name of a building in Alabama in a high school, as a statue, in terms of revering him, in this day and age. To have that, he should be stricken from everything in the United States. His name should be taken down from everywhere. You shouldn't have a statue of him anywhere. The only statue he should have is maybe in the museum in Washington, D.C. That tells of the history of the United States, but maybe in the Smithsonian, maybe just because it's part of the history of the United States, but it shouldn't be anywhere. Meanwhile, in what might have been part of the backlash against racists, Steve King, a Republican with a long history of racist remarks, I take that back, shouldn't be anywhere. Meanwhile, in what might have been part of the backlash against racists, Steve King, a Republican with a long history of racist remarks, lost his primary in Iowa. In a five-way primary, Mr. King was defeated by Randy Feenstrach, a state senator who had the backing of mainstream state and national Republicans, who found King an embarrassment and crucially a threat to a safe Republican seat if he were on the ballot in November. Now, King, he is a racist. He had there was a New York Times article where he said, how come nobody supports white pride or something? Maybe I'm misquoting him, but something to that effect. He has been known to say a lot of racial and racist and insensitive racial statements, anti-Semitic statements. He is a real bad dude. I'm glad he is out of Congress. Meanwhile, Trump faced more backlash Tuesday when televangelist Pat Robertson, and this was good for Pat Robertson, he condemned his response to nationwide protests over the death of George Floyd and police brutality, saying, "You just don't do that, Mr. President." His comments came amid criticism of police tactics used to clear out the crowd of peaceful protesters near the White House ahead of Trump's walk to his photo op in front of St. John's Episcopal Church. Robertson, founder of the Christian Broadcasting Network and the one-time presidential candidate, spoke about the protests in the beginning of the 700 Club yesterday and said, now it's time for understanding. Now, 5 months before the general election, the president and his political advisors have grown concerned about his standing, slipping with religious conservatives. People familiar with the matter say. So, when Pat Robertson is going up against Donald Trump, it's not a good thing. So, meanwhile, when they went over to the church after they cleared out the protesters and shot at them, President Trump appeared to tell the First Lady, Melania Trump, to smile during a visit. Trump's visit to the shrine infuriated church officials. Do we have a video of that? Yep, there it was. He had to force her to smile. Now, in one respect, you say, wow, you feel bad for the woman that she's married to him, but you know what? You dance with the devil, that's what you get. Meanwhile, Archbishop Wilton Gregory, the nation's highest-ranking African-American bishop, condemned the visit in a statement released on Tuesday morning. He said, quote, "I find it baffling and reprehensible that any Catholic facility would allow itself to be so egregiously misused and manipulated in a fashion that violates our religious principles, which call us to defend the rights of all people, even those with whom we might disagree." Now, Floyd family attorney Benjamin Crump said that Joe Biden is set to attend George Floyd's funeral next Tuesday. USA Today reported that a public viewing for Floyd will be from noon to 6 p.m. local time on Monday at the Fountain of Praise Church in Houston. The funeral and burial will take place the following day. Now, due to safety concerns amid the coronavirus pandemic, guests at the public viewing will be required to wear masks and gloves. Former boxing champion Floyd Mayweather will be covering the cost of Floyd's funeral services. And I have a correction. I am told that this was at a different shrine yesterday, where he told Melania Trump to smile. It was at the St. John Paul II National Shrine, and that was from yesterday. So my mistake. We want to make sure we get all of our shrines correct. Yesterday, Joe Biden likened Trump's language to that of a Southern racist of the 1960s, while he also warned Americans that we cannot let our rage consume us. He emphasized themes of empathy and unity to draw a clear contrast with Trump, who has portrayed those demonstrating as thugs. I'm glad at least Joe Biden is getting out and talking. He pledged to address economic inequality, racial injustice, but also urged the nation to come together at a moment of deep civil unrest. Biden said the country was crying out for leadership and urged his opponents to consult the Constitution and the Bible. And we have a video about some of his other pledges.
I won't fan the flames of hate. I'll seek to heal the racial wounds that have long plagued our country, not use them for political gain.
Now, he's going to be picking a vice president soon. I don't know who it's going to be. He has already guaranteed it was going to be a woman. The women who were running against him for vice president was Elizabeth Warren, Klobuchar in Minnesota, Kamala Harris out in California. I hope, well, Klobuchar, I don't think he can take now because she was a prosecutor in Minnesota. She's too tied into this. So that would be a terrible thing if he chose her. Even though she was a prosecutor years ago, she's still a prosecutor in Minnesota, not a good thing right now. I think if he picks Warren, he's picking another old person. We have people who are demonstrating in the street who want change, and those people are of a different generation than Biden. There's Kamala Harris. I think she would make a very good vice presidential pick. She is a senator. God forbid something happens to Biden, she can step in and become the president. She is a woman. She is Black. I think she would be a fabulous, fabulous choice. She also was a prosecutor. She put away a lot of minorities on big, big sentences. She would have to have a mea culpa about that. It was at a different time. There's also who I would love to see as vice president, the mayor of Atlanta. I think she's fabulous. I'm a big supporter of her as well. I don't know who else could possibly come in. I was thinking about that today to be the vice president select. It has to be a woman. And I think the preference is that it would be a Black woman. And I would hope that would be the case because that would show a lot of inclusion. So I'm hoping either for Kamala Harris or the mayor of Atlanta. We'll see what happens, what Biden picks. Meanwhile, former President George Bush broke his silence about George Floyd yesterday, writing in a lengthy statement that he and wife Laura are anguished by the Minneapolis man's brutal suffocation and disturbed by the injustice and fear that suffocate our country. Bush wrote, "It's a shocking failure that many African-American men are harassed and threatened in their own country." He continued, "The doctrine and habits of racial superiority, which once nearly split our country, still threaten our union. The answers to American problems are found by living up to American ideals, to the fundamental truth that all human beings are created equal and endowed by God with certain rights." I kind of, in a sense, kind of believe that George feels this way. He was actually, even though he didn't pass any immigration reform, he really tried to do it. He even had back in 2007, he had an Oval Office address from the Oval Office in the evening that was carried by all the networks to urge Congress to pass what would have been almost immigration reform that would have been an amnesty for lots and lots of people. So he in a way tried to do it. He tried to do it way too late. So I believe somewhere deep down in his soul, maybe he believes this stuff. I believe it. Meanwhile, we still have coronavirus. According to statistics from the Johns Hopkins University, there are now over 6.4 million coronavirus cases worldwide. 380,000 people have died. More than 3.1 million people have recovered. In the United States, more than 1.8 million people have been diagnosed with coronavirus. It's approaching 107,000 deaths. And just because we don't hear about coronavirus in the news doesn't mean it's not over. I am extraordinarily concerned that because of all the protests, and you can't help it, but because the protests that I'm concerned we're going to get a second wave of coronavirus. I hope that's not the case, but I'm very concerned with all of the social distancing we've been doing, and now because of the protests, which are very valid, and that I'm concerned about it. I really am. Well, meanwhile, June is also LGBT Pride Month, when observers commemorate the Stonewall Riots, which occurred at the end of June 1969. Many consider the Stonewall Riots to be the start of the modern LGBT movement. During the Obama administration, the White House was illuminated by rainbow lights during Pride Month, but this June, the Trump White House is literally dark. Although it's unclear why the administration turned the lights off during the protest, the dark building stood in stark contrast to the fires burning around the city. It was also reported Sunday that the president took shelter in the White House bunker, although he claims he didn't really take shelter in the bunker. He was just going to inspect it. I swear to God, that's what he was claiming. Meanwhile, it is hump day. I know we've had a long schmooze. There's so much going on in the world, folks, but we gotta lighten up a little bit with hump day. Do we have any camels, Lee? We have some camels? We do have some camels? Okay. Well, in an effort to stand in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement, Grindr, the gay dating and social networking app, they have announced that it will now discontinue its ethnicity filter, which allows users to sort through prospective connections by race. Grindr officials wrote on Twitter and Instagram yesterday, "We will not be silent and we will not be inactive. We will continue to fight racism on Grindr, both through dialogue with our community and a zero tolerance policy for racism and hate speech on our platforms," which is very nice of Grindr. I've never, I don't know, but it's very nice that they would do such a thing. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints, they're a football team. They announced in late May that they're going to be seeking a new naming rights partner. When you go to all different stadiums all over, like in New York, where the Mets play at Citi Field, where the New York Giants play out in the Meadowlands, it's MetLife Stadium, and all these big companies put their names on the stadiums. So naturally now, a porn company is making a bid to rename the New Orleans Saints Stadium in New Orleans. Strip Chat, which bills itself as one of the world's leading adult webcam sites, announced that it was offer the New Orleans football Saints $15 million a year to rename the Saints' home as Strip Chat Superdome. Strip Chat Communications Director Max Bennett said in a news release, "In our opinion, New Orleans is the party capital of the United States. I'd like to think that we here at Strip Chat embody some of New Orleans' character and flair." Last week, we also discussed that Swiss sex workers had devised some inventive ways for their colleagues to service clients without spreading the coronavirus by doing the doggy style and reverse cowgirl and facing the other way. And I think we determined as a group that's not going to work. Well, now the workers drafted the guidelines and hope that Switzerland will lift the temporary ban on prostitution enacted 2 months ago. Well, their guidelines may have worked. I can't believe this, because now sex workers are going back to work under these guidelines. But meanwhile, sports, close contact sports, you can't play any basketball, but you can go to a prostitute now in Switzerland, as long as I guess you're doing it doggy style or reverse cowgirl. Swiss Health Minister Alan Brissett said he believes that prostitutes are better equipped than athletes to safely return to business. Okay, we'll see what happens there. And finally, a woman survived a close-range gunshot wound to the chest. She was saved because her silicone breast implant ricocheted the bullet off of her. In a case study published by the Sage Medical Journal in March, doctors described how a silicone breast implant deflected a bullet away from a 30-year-old woman's vital organs. Surgeon Giancarlo McAvenue, I guess his name is, told CNN the incident, which took place in 2018 in Toronto, Canada, is one of only a handful of instances recorded in medical literature where a breast implant implanted saved a woman's life. And it was the first recorded instance of a silicone implant doing so. That had to have been a very, very hard implant. That had to have been an extraordinarily, extraordinarily hard silicone implant to ricochet a bullet. Wow. What else is happening here? That's about it. We're 45 minutes into our show. We got to get to immigration questions. It's a lot going on. So we'll hopefully next week, things calm down in our world and we'll get to, more fun hump day news, but we had to get through everything that is going on in the world right now. Let's remind everybody before I get to my immigration questions to please share this with your friends and family. We're going to be getting to your immigration questions right now. And also please subscribe on Facebook. And if you subscribe on Facebook, every time we go live, you will be notified that we will be coming live. And if you like and follow us on Facebook, you subscribe on YouTube. My apologies, I had it wrong. Subscribe on YouTube, you'll be notified every time we come on live. Like and follow us on Facebook. Start your watch parties on Facebook right now. Of course, if you need to reach me for any reason, you want to have a consultation with me, my telephone number is 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-LAW-LINK, 1-800-529-5465. If you don't get your immigration questions answered today, you can always follow me on @RealBradBernstein on Instagram and drop me a DM, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. You can, lots and lots of people, they will testify to this. I know for a fact because I do it every day. Drop me questions, tell me their issues, and I try to help them in the best I can. You could also follow us at Bradshaw Live for the best of Bradshaw Live in 2-3 minute increments on Instagram. You could also find the Bouncing Brad post on @Bradshaw Live. You find the Bouncing Brad post with me bouncing in front of the American flag. Like that post, tag 5 of your friends, and you will be entered into my hat for next week's drawing. And with that, we're going to get into something we like to call pandemic, quarantine, immigration questions and answers, or something like that. All right, pre-comment of the day, Dion Watson, who also sent me a direct message on Instagram. And also my office told me. So this is the 3rd time I'm hearing it, but I'm going to announce it. She says, "Squad, I got my permanent green card through Brad. Bless up, Brad. You are the best." Thank you very, very much. Samantha Jones. "Hey, Brad, does it matter if you don't have your husband's last name?" I assume in terms of filing for your immigration papers. No, it is a modern world. You do not have to take your husband's last name. But if you would marry me, I would be insulted if you didn't take my last name, but every man's different. But no, you don't have to. You don't have to do it. Denise Cromaz. "Hey, Brad, my mom is a U.S. citizen. I am unmarried daughter over 21. I live in Jamaica. We got the approval letter from USCIS April of this year and was advised that the National Visa Center will reach out to us within 30 days. USCIS will reopen on June 4th. Does this mean the National Visa Center will reopen as well? Does this also mean that we will be contacted soon? And last, what supporting documents does my mom need with the affidavit of support?" No, just because the USCIS opens doesn't mean National Visa Center will open. The National Visa Center most likely has been open this entire time. It has been. What hasn't been open is the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica. every country, the embassies are going to open different times depending on what's going on with coronavirus in any particular country. So just because USCIS opens up here in America, and by the way, they're opening up everywhere but New York, doesn't mean that embassies will be opening up around the world. In terms of what your mom needs, 3 years tax returns, a job letter, and a bank letter, but it's also what you need now. There are new forms for you as well. You have to be able to show that you can support yourself here without going on any public assistance. So the government's going to want to know what your work history is, what skills you have, whether you're a healthy worker, whether you have an education, whether you have a job offer, whether you're going to have health insurance. So there's lots and lots of things that you need to do now that you otherwise didn't need to do previously. Let's see what else we have here. Jennifer Garza with a question. She starts off with, I have a question. So thank you. I was able to see it. What if me and my husband are having issues and he's not home, living apart? Will we get in trouble for me to continue to petition the I-485? Well, Jennifer, it's possible you can get in trouble. When you apply for your green card as an adjustment of status, what you're doing is your spouse is saying, I want my Jennifer, well, because you're asking this question, I want Jennifer to live with me here in America in order to keep our family together, the woman I love. And you go on an interview, and the whole interview is to determine, do you live together? Do you have a financial relationship together? So if you're going to go to the interview and you're going to say, me and my husband live apart, we're having problems, they're going to deny you. If you go into the interview and you say, me and my husband live together, when in fact you're living apart, now you're lying and committing misrepresentation. And it's possible that as they interview you more, they can discover all of this and even label your marriage as a business marriage, which would bar you from ever getting a green card ever in the rest of your life. So when you ask, can you get in trouble? Yeah, you can get in a lot of trouble. So now you're living apart. What do you do? There are three options. You can try to fix your marriage. That's an option. Figure out, how do I fix my marriage? You go to a counselor. You're a pastor. How do we fix this marriage? Maybe you're living apart because you're physically abused, or there's extreme emotional abuse. Then what you would do is tell your husband, bye-bye, see you. And you file a VAWA application, an abuse application. Or if none of those apply, I don't know if it would be a smart thing for you to continue your case. Perhaps if there's no solution, perhaps getting a divorce and falling in love again. But I think you need to have a consultation so we can go through everything. Michael Overcome Newsom, how are you? Good evening, Uncle Brad. Two questions. First, how long does it take to get an I-130 approved if I'm married to a U.S. citizen wife? Or do you think the corona will delay the approval of an I-130? I think the I-130 could be delayed. In one hand, it could be delayed. In another hand, there's not too many people filing, so they don't have a lot of work. So I think maybe it'll go actually faster. If you actually had to, if I had to take a guess, your I-130 will be faster than before because they don't have a lot of work right now in immigration. How long will it take? I don't know. Before it was taking 12 months. Figure 12 months, but most likely less. Let's see what else we have here. Lots of back and forth. Lots and back and forth. All right. Elizabeth Darby yelling her question in capitals. Uncle Bran. Yes, I'm Uncle Bran. Right? I'm your fiber of the day. Uncle Bran. Question. My husband wants to send my paper to the immigration, but him birth certificate short of one letter. Could I send it to the immigration? Yes, you can send it. If his birth certificate's off by a letter, you could always give an affidavit what the problem is or correct. Send it with the birth certificate that's off one letter, correct the birth certificate and bring it to the interview, or you can do affidavits, and there's lots of different things. I wouldn't worry about one letter. Eventually you have to correct it and deal with it. But yeah, you can send it. Rochelle Sinclair Brown. Uncle Brad, when will the USCIS office reopen? Also, do you know when the IRS office will open? I can't access my tax transcript online. I understand USCIS is going to open tomorrow, but not in New York. I don't know. I have not been following the IRS, so I don't know when the IRS will be open, but I would assume if USCIS is opening soon, so would the IRS. Joseph Kanunda with a question. Can traffic tickets like driving with no license and insurance in another country stop you from migrating to the U.S. on a family-based visa? I have no record in the U.S. Being a bad driver does not prevent you from getting a green card. Having an arrest record may. So it depends what happened on those traffic tickets. Depends what, if you were ultimately found guilty of just driving without a license, then you're absolutely fine. You will get a green card. If it's something more serious, then different story. Let's see what else we have here. Lots of comments today, so I got to go through. Stacey Ann Taylor. I don't know if that's a question, but she's replying to Lisa Bennett. And I don't know what Lisa Bennett was saying. Cordella Douglas, our prayers to you. She's in the hospital with a blood clot in her lungs. I feel terrible. We send all of our prayers. Everyone from the Brad Squad sends their prayers to you. Please feel better, be well, and you'll get through this. And our prayers are with you, Cordella. Udette Graham Brown, and by the way, you are loved by everybody on this Brad Squad. There's a lot of people in this world who love you, Cordella. So I'm sure you'll get through this. I promise. Udette Graham Brown. Hi, Brad. I have a friend who used a lawyer to get her 2-year green card now. She needs to file for the 10 years, but doesn't want to use the same lawyer. However, she didn't get back any paperwork from the previous lawyer. Does she need to get the paperwork to take to the current lawyer? No. You don't need anything from the prior lawyer to remove the conditions of your permanent residence. Everything you need, you have already. You need proof that from the time you got your green card up to the present that you and your spouse are living together, along with a copy of your green card. You don't need anything else. Let's see what else we have here. There's so many comments and no questions today. Just comments. And now here's Hump Day stuff. All right, here's some questions. And Denisha Joseph, by the way, I just have Denisha Joseph. Well, very well said, Denisha. And I want to give her a pre-comment of the day. Red and yellow, black and white, we're all are precious in God's eyes. So simple. Don't know why people are trying to make it so difficult. Amen. Nicole Hernandez, my I-130 was approved on April 1st, 2020. The notice of action stated the petition will be transferred to the Department of State, and at 30 days, I have to check with the National Visa Center if no response was received. I checked with the National Visa Center 8 weeks after I received the I-797 and was told that they don't have any record of receiving the petition. What steps am I to take? Should I wait on them to update me, or should I contact USCIS? I don't think contacting USCIS is going to do anything. I would wait another couple weeks. They should receive it very shortly. If after another 3-4 weeks they still have no record at the National Visa Center, contact me. But you contacting USCIS isn't going to do anything. Abigail Turner, can our joint sponsor for the adjustment of status be a green card holder? Yes, it can. It could be a joint sponsor could be a green card holder or a U.S. citizen. What documents will he need to submit with alongside the I-864? 3 years tax returns, a job letter, and a bank letter. Let's see what else we have here. Stacey Ann Taylor with a question. Brad, I was asking a question. I just got married, but I already have a social security number and work permit, but my husband just filed my papers. Will it take long for me to get through? I'm also working. I hope it doesn't take long for you to get through. I don't know why you have a work permit, maybe an old work permit. Hopefully, because if you have a current work permit, I'm not sure where you would have that from. Maybe it's a DACA. but you're going to keep the same Social Security number, but it should take you less than 12 months if everything is done well. Jessica Lee with a question. My husband, I put his paperwork for adjustment of status and work permit on January 13th of this year, and he's had biometrics done. How can we expect before his work permit comes in? It takes about 5 to 6 months from January. So hopefully it's now January 13th. They may have been backed up a little bit because of biometrics. Hopefully by the end of June or July, I hope you would see that he would be getting his work permit. Let's jump over to YouTube and see what's going on YouTube. Lee with a question. Brad, is USCIS processing adjustments at the moment? My friend's package was returned to her with a random list of possible errors. The answer is yes, they are processing adjustments. The answer is also, if you do not do the adjustment application perfect, USCIS will return it. A lot of times they'll accept your money, not return your money, and tell you your case is denied. So absolutely they are processing, and I would say your friend did it absolutely wrong. Jamani Tawari, and by the way, I lost a lot of our questions on YouTube, so if you're watching on YouTube, ask the question again. Jamana Tawari, I married a U.S. citizen in 2015. My I-751 receipt date is May 29th, 2018. After 24 months, they transferred my case to the National Benefits Center. Still no reply for the 10-year green card. Can I apply for the N-400, then USCIS interview for 10? I don't know what for 10 means. Then USCIS interview for your 10-year green card. You can apply for your N-400, and at your N-400 interview, they will give you both your interview for the 10-year card and your citizenship simultaneously. So the answer is yes, you can do both. Jamani asking the question 3 times. Julie Matabar. My passport is expired. If I go to citizenship interview, then I need to renew my passport, or can I go with my expired passport because now passport office is closed? You can go with your expired passport if that's all you have. It'd be nice if you renew it, but if you don't have it, go with the expired one. Don't not go because you don't have your passport. Rukan Talakdor, do you have any latest update about the 60-day immigration suspension order? No, none whatsoever. Nothing new I've read about. Daily highlights with a pre-comment of the day. I think everybody is in agreement. I'm tired of that orange head man. Donald Trump is the worst president. I agree 100%. Aman Kasria. Hello, Uncle Brad. When family court's going to open in New York City for orders of protection? I hope soon. I don't know. We got to, it's when Cuomo decides. He hasn't said it. We're allowed to do it yet. It's when Cuomo decides to do it. So hopefully very soon. Versatile Lifestyle 1. If my wife applies for food stamps, will it affect my adjustment of status? The answer is absolutely it will. You're most likely to get denied. So be very careful with that. Danelle Toussaint, good evening, Uncle Brad. I have a question. Do you know when they will reopen immigration? Tomorrow, except in New York. Dalen Jack says, hi, Brad. I'm filing my DS-260. I've traveled to Curacao in 2018, but there's no Curacao option for places traveled in the last 5 years. What should I do? I don't understand what you mean by you're filling out your DS. There's no Curacao option. Then I'm sure there's another option that's close. I would need to look at the form and see, but I'm sure there's another option that's close. Jennifer Lynn Darian, question. I'm a U.S. citizen. I want to continue the application, but I'm concerned because we are not together. He even called the cops one day to try to get the papers to send in for an RFE. Jennifer, why would you want to continue the case on a man who called the cops on you? Does that make any sense? Give me a call. Miloslav Minkov. Hi, Uncle Brad. Can you please advise my VAWA application was approved in August of 2019. Do you think I should reach out to the USCIS regarding my adjustment of status interview once they reopen, or just wait? You can absolutely reach out. There's no harm in reaching out. If you filed the adjustment and your VAWA together at the same time, it's not based on when It's based. Oh, it is based on when your vow was approved. I didn't realize you told me. It's August 2019. You should have gotten an interview already. And by August of 2019, you're almost 10, 11 months into this. You should have gotten an interview already. You should absolutely reach out to them. It won't hurt you, by the way. So you might as well do it. Peace Martin, can I file a VAWA if I went to my first interview and my husband is mad at me because he acts bad? I don't know what you mean because he acts bad. If he's abusive, yes. If he is emotionally abusive to a high level, the answer is yes. To an extreme level, yes. So I'm not sure what you mean by he acts bad, but it doesn't sound good. So I think you should give us a call at 1-800-529-5465. Sunday Unato. Brad, my spouse is pulling out of the marriage and all supporting documents. We have gone for our interview and no response from USCIS. What should I do? Try to make up with her. Try to save the marriage. You're almost at the end. Okay. There's ways that you can save marriages. And if not, then give me a call and let's figure out what options you have. 29 Super C, what are the protocols to attend the interviews at USCIS and US embassies during this COVID pandemic? I'm not sure about the US embassies, but the protocols at USCIS are you're not going to be allowed in the building unless within 30 minutes of your interview, you have to wear a mask. And you're basically going to have to stand outside. There's not going to be a lot of places to sit. That's what I understand. We'll see how they work it tomorrow when they open. Safi Darbo, hi Brad. How long does it take to get an interview after a VAWA is approved? Should be less than 12 months. Milosav Minkov, you should contact them. If your adjustment was filed in 2015, your VAWA was approved in 2019, and it's now almost we're now in the middle of 2020 and you still haven't been approved 5 years later. I think you need to contact immigration or contact a lawyer. Segin Sumidi, what can I do if my ex-wife lies to immigration that our marriage is not real, that I paid her money to get married? Well, she lied on you. You can file a VAWA case, prove it was a real marriage, and prove she was a liar if there was abuse. But you're going to have to prove she's a liar. So now there's a rebuttable presumption that it's a business marriage. So maybe she said this to get at you. That's a lot of that would be really emotionally abusive to say that, to get you basically, allege that you committed a crime and get you deported when it's not true. Ziona Gonzalez, and I think you need help. So give me a call, 1-800-529-5465. Ziona Gonzalez. Hello, Uncle Brad. I remembered my wife took food stamps in January, February. I'm filing for VAWA case. Is it going to make any effect on my VAWA? No, it won't. Your wife taking food stamps on your VAWA case will be fine. Dominic Smith, is 33.6 enough to sponsor a wife and child? Yes, but your wife is going to need to have a job letter and proof that she has medical insurance, as well as proof that she has some sort of skill to get it to either work or have that job letter, one or the other. Let's go back to Facebook. See what else we have here. Now everybody's asking questions. Uncle Brad, Pauline Blackwood. I hear from the USCIS about my I-130, but the lawyer don't say anything to me. Okay. I don't know what you want me to say. Call your lawyer and say, how come you don't say anything to me? Stacy Ann Taylor, Brad, I was asking a question. I just got married, but I already have a social security number, work permit. My husband just filed my paper. Will it take long for me to get through? I'm also working. It'll take you the same amount of time, whether you had a social or not, whether you had a work permit or not, probably 12 months or less. Joan Grant, Brad, I have a question. When one has been petitioned for, what if the person can support themselves, but they do not have any insurance? It depends. It depends. Whether they can support themselves or not, it's a two-step process. First step is the petitioner has to be able to show they can support you. So it doesn't matter that you're making $1 million. The petitioner has to be able to support you anyway. And then once you get past that step one, then you have to show how can you support yourself? How can you convince the government that you're not going to go on any sort of a government assistance. You're a healthy person, you have health insurance, you have a good job, you have skills, that type of thing. So it's not enough that you can support yourself. Joseph Kanunda, is offenses traffic, you arrested, can you get a green card? Generally, traffic offenses are not inadmissible, but you getting arrested could impact on good moral character. So that's why the answer is yes, but with a little hesitation. I got to know a little more. Christine Bennett, what does it mean when you are filing and your status says current? It means that you're eligible for your green card. Sure, blessed favored parent. Uncle Brad, is it okay to file April 2019, but I-130 is still not approved? Is it okay to file? Are you talking about an F2? Be a little more specific. Are you talking about an F2A adjustment application? Is that what you're talking about? The answer would be yes if you're in legal status about filing an adjustment, if that's your question. Sure, blessed, highly favored parent. I'm not sure if that's 100% your question. Sonia Daly, I did my biometrics in January 29th and I got mine already. You can check your case status using the receipt number. Thank you very much, Sonia Daly. Shami Ferros, I submitted my file I-130 March 2019. It's been over a year. I haven't gotten an interview call. I did get a letter that they need my medical again when they take the interview. Okay, nice facts. You bring your medical to the interview. Okay. Lisa Bling Rose, with just a pre-comment of the day. Please, when doing your paperwork, contact Uncle Brad to get a consultation, because making a mistake, it's going to take a lot longer. And I know sometimes it's hard to find the money, but Uncle Brad do payment plan. Thank you very much, Lisa. 1-800-529-5465. Denise Cromaz with a question. Hey, Brad, my mom is a U.S. citizen. I am an unmarried daughter over the age of 21. I live in Jamaica. We got the approval letter from USCIS April of this year. I was advised that National Visa Center will reach out to us within 30 days. I answered this in the beginning of the show. So just go and rewind. But I did answer this in the beginning of the show. Virtues Land. Uncle Brad, is there any filing fee for renewal of employment, EAD, and advanced parole? No, there should not be, not based on an adjustment. You should be able to not have to pay for it. Kareen Powell, Uncle Brad, after the VAWA approval, I have not gone for an interview. Can I start to file for my children in Jamaica? No, you got to adjust your status and then they can follow to join you. Thapa Sarah with a question. Can a Class C misdemeanor deny a green card? Perhaps. I don't know what the Class C misdemeanor is, but a Class C misdemeanor sounds like a very, very tiny offense. So generally, no, but it also depends on the situation. So I would need to know exactly what you were found guilty of and where you were found guilty and what the sentence was, and then I would be able to tell you. Senator Thomas, my cousin did her fingerprint on March 9th. When will she get her work permit knowing coronavirus was active? I don't know, but if she did her fingerprint on March 9th, April, May, June, figure sometime by the end of July. Share blessed favor parent. Yes, it was an I-45. If you are in legal status, the answer would be yes. If you are in legal status, the answer is yes. If your husband is or your spouse is a permanent resident, you would have to be in legal status. If your spouse is a U.S. citizen and you came here on a legal visa, then it doesn't matter whether you're in legal status or not. Pauline Blackwood, Sir Brad, I think paying your lawyer means she can contact you with updates. Sure, absolutely. I agree. And I think I answered Thapu's question. And let's go back to YouTube and see what else we have here on YouTube. Peace Martin says, I did not answer Peace Martin's question. Peace Martin, ask your question again because I don't see it and I didn't see it. So please ask it again. The worshipers arise. Hello, Uncle. I did my fingerprint in August 2019. I'm still waiting my work permit. What can I do? You need to call me if you're waiting on your work permit and you fingerprinted in August 2019. That's like 10 months ago. 1-800-529-5465. Ziona Gonzalez with a question. Hello, Brad. About to file a VAWA case. I don't have a joint tax because I never filed for adjustment of status, so I don't have a Social Security or EAD. Just because you don't have a joint tax doesn't mean you can't prove it was a bona fide marriage. You have to be able to prove it's a bona fide marriage to do the VAWA, but it doesn't mean that if you don't have the joint tax return, you can't prove it's a bona fide marriage. So hopefully you have some other documents to make up for that. Let's go quickly back to Facebook for our last question. Two more questions on Facebook, and we're going to call it a day here. Pradeep Ram, Uncle Brad, can a self-petitioner justify by producing the discovered, shockingly found USCIS bigamy abuser spouse earlier marriage certificate as evidence of abuse? I don't know if that's evidence of abuse, but it's evidence that you now don't have a bona fide marriage. You didn't have a valid marriage. Now, there are laws that say if you did not believe you believed you were in a bona fide marriage and didn't realize you were in a bigamous marriage, that you could still do a VAWA. So that perhaps could be some evidence of a VAWA case, but I don't think just being in of itself a bigamous marriage is per se abuse, but it could be some evidence of it. Karen Ennis. Hey, Uncle Brad, my husband received a notice from USCIS on December 26th for his Form I-45. Says the case is ready to be scheduled for an interview. Do you think we are close to getting a date? I don't know. I mean, I could ask the Magic 8 Ball, but honestly, just because it says it's ready just means that it's ready for an interview. It doesn't mean ready for an interview doesn't mean interview will be imminent. Ready for an interview means your file's ready for an interview. There's nothing to do until there's an interview. But that could be in 6 months or 12 months from now. I don't know. All right, guys. As Tally says, great show today as always, Uncle Brad. Please stay safe. We love and appreciate you. Thank you very much, Tally. Lee, we have comments of the day. Comments of the day, Lee. Comments of the day. The first comment is Manna Leon Jackson. Thank you, Uncle Brad. Brad, squad up. Magic 8 Ball team, tremendous job. Thank you very much. Rochelle Sinclair, Brad, Uncle Brad, your live talk show is so informative. Thank you. Carol Anderson, the Tiger. Brad, that's the reason why I respect you so much. You always find time to come on to help each and every one. You don't have to, but you do because you want all to live. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sasha Ford, change must come, and this is the first, and this is the time for change. Amen. All right, everybody. Thank you all for watching. If you like the show and you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. It's very easy to subscribe. Also on Facebook, please like and follow us. If you need to contact me for any reason, my telephone number is 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-LAW-LINK, 1-800-529-5465. Outside the United States, 212-227-8933. If you didn't get your immigration question answered, you can always follow me on Instagram at Real Brad Bernstein and just drop me a DM. I'll be happy to answer the question there. And finally, if you want to see the best of Brad show live in 2 and 3 minute increments, then follow us on Instagram. And you can also find me Bouncing Brad on Instagram. Like that post, tag 5 of your friends, and get a free consultation with me, perhaps, if your name is pulled out of my hat. With that, everybody, have a safe evening, and we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching.